So I just wanted to share this with you. California workers now want a minimum wage of at least $30. Do you guys remember when I said the next big fight was not going to be fight for 25, it was going to be fight for 30? Now, I expected this to happen in the coming years. What I did not foresee was going to be this extreme rapid pace of hyperinflation. I expected fight for 30 to come, well, in the next couple of years. All right, so maybe next year or the following year, around 2026 maybe. And then like by 2029, that would be the standard. Yeah. No, someone's messing around with the timeline. Barry's messing with the timeline again. Barry's messing with the timeline. Because California has employees who are now demanding 30 an hour. So we've seen what has happened in California where restaurant employees are now getting a minimum of $20 an hour, and restaurants across the state are closing. And Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is already talking about raising wages in other industries and across the state yet again. They have learned absolutely nothing, and they're basically like, let the businesses close, we don't care. Well, now the employees over there, the fast food employees, they're saying, hey man, we can't live on $20 an hour. We need a livable wage. And in this economy, $30 is a livable wage. That's the bare minimum. A minimum livable wage is $30 an hour, bare minimum. What this means is that if you are paying an employee to flip fries and make burgers, $30, guys, automation, I already told you, these jobs are going to be wiped out by automation. I said in another video that when it gets to the point where these franchisees have to make a decision between investing $500,000 or even $1 million to fully automate their restaurants and take $1 million loss, so that a $500,000 loss or even $1 million loss, so that in the long term they can still make a profit. Many of them are going to say, well, I have two choices. I can either close down my entire franchise, just walk away, or I can spend the money, fully automate out, or automate 90% of my business and focus on the long term. And my suspicion is that many of them will do just that. They will take the large loans, $1 million loan, 1.2, 1.5, $5 million loans, fully automate out their businesses to as much as they can. Many of them will even begin taking pride in not having any employees there. And people will love it, because all the ordering is already done on kiosk in Jack in the Box. They were the first to start really doing it, that I recall. McDonald's, guys, I went to a McDonald's months ago. I wanted to pay with cash. Well, no, correction. I was using my card. I didn't have any cash on me. But I wanted to have a person take my order. They refused and told me I had to use the machine. I had to use the kiosk. And many McDonald's now, you cannot even have a person take your order anymore. You have to use the kiosk. If you want any customizations, you basically speak to them afterwards, and they'll work with you. If there are customizations that you want, like let's say I wanted mac sauce. I wanted mac sauce on my double cheeseburger. That's something you'll have to ask for afterwards, separately. For example, I think that's what it was. But that's how the reality is. So it's basically already replaced the cashier. So now it's going to replace the people making the food. I said it that you're going to have one cute girl. Many years ago, I predicted this. Like 6 or 7 years ago, I predicted this going back to like 2016, 2017. I said you're going to have one cute girl walking around with a tablet asking you if everything is okay. Are you enjoying your meal? And there were some of you in the comments who said, no, Angry, that cute girl is going to walk around and ask you, do you need help finishing your meal? I keep telling y'all, I'm not a prophet. I'm not a prophet. Smart men learn from their own mistakes. Wise men learn from the mistakes of others. Wise men learn from the lessons of others. They learn from the knowledge of others. So I gather up this information, and using facts, I'm able to say, well, this sounds right, this does not. See, that's the power of the manosphere. Knowledge. This is why they fear us, because of all the knowledge that is here. They don't, they don't hate the manosphere. Right now, the feds are investigating the manosphere. It's not because of misogyny. It's because men are coming together and communicating and talking among each other. And as a result of that, men can basically turn around and say, well, we're not participating in this anymore. You see, MWA is soft guy era, which is a part of MWA. These things are these are the things that the government, the state fears the most. Men who stop participating, men who walk away, men who disengage, but then they speak amongst themselves. Because what ends up happening is when men stop contributing to the state cannot do anything about it. It's impossible. If you force men to work, they will do just as much work as they are forced to do and no more. That is not how you create wealth. Men have to innovate. Men have to strive. Men have to grind. That's how men have to dream and then manifest that through blood, sweat, and tears. But as men are no longer willing to do that, it drains the state because new wealth is not being created. Think about it carefully. It's true. I want you guys to think about a plantation. Think about a plantation where everyone is miserable. So you have a bunch of workers, and your workers are miserable. You can never allow your workers to get to a certain state of destitution and despair. Because when they do, they start to break down mentally and psychologically. They start to get old quickly. They start to give up on living. And before you know it, there's nothing left. So when you have workers, you have to take care of them up to a certain point. In Western society, men have allowed their health to deteriorate. Men have given everything and anything for society and for women for love of country and love of family, love of their wives. But men are no longer marrying, men are no longer having children, and men view society as having betrayed them. So do you think they're going to work to prop this thing up? Absolutely not. Men will do just enough to survive and thrive and no more. And a man can live happily in a shoebox at the side of the road. I know so many guys that only own a Nintendo Switch or a PC or a cell phone, and they are happy. There are some dudes right now listening to this stream. They have money in the bank. They have a place to sleep, food to eat, no debt, and all they own is a cell phone. All they own is a cell phone. Okay? They have clothing that they haven't replaced in years. A couple pieces of clothing that they haven't replaced in years. And a cell phone. And that's how they live. And they are more than happy living like that. If they want to play some games, they'll play some games on their cell phone. They don't need more than Candy Crush or Genshin Impact or anything. They're not even playing Genshin Impact, but they are very happy playing the random cheap free games on their phones. Playing Angry Bird, listening to Angry Guy podcast. Like, this is a routine. This is a routine. This is a bastard routine. This is a lot of men. I know how they operate. They tell me. They go and they work out. They're listening to my podcast. You know, they're laying in bed. They wake up. They put on the podcast. This is their entertainment. They queue up a bunch of videos. They jump into a playlist and they chill. They don't need more than this. All right. I did a poll some time ago, and I asked, how many videos do you guys watch? How many of my videos have you watched? Most people, or how many of my videos do you watch in a single day? Most people watch maybe 2 to 3 videos. Okay? All right. Some people watch 10 videos. And then there are some people who will, if they can, watch even more than that. When asked, how many of my videos have you watched entirely? Most people have watched less than 100. Some people have watched about, 250. Then there are some insane people who've already watched close to 1,000. This is their entertainment. If you look at how many videos I have on here, for most of these guys, it's never ending. They will always have content to watch. That's just me. They have tons of other content creators to watch. They can go and watch the Chow Time podcast. They can go watch Manosphere highlights. Those are just 2 channels I gave. They can go watch Fresh and Fit. I know some of y'all don't like Fresh and Fit. I'm just giving you an example. They don't need a lot to survive. There's a lot of you guys who won't even pay for YouTube Premium. It's only like $14 a month. Even when I was going through my hardships in life, I still made sure that I paid for my YouTube Premium. Even when money was tight. A lot of y'all are doing well in life. Doing extremely well in life, and you will not spend that $14. You have tens of thousands of dollars in the bank, and you will not spend $14 for YouTube Premium. And that's another thing I have to talk about again. Living below your means. There's so many men, specifically wealthy men, who live far below their means. And as a result of, you don't have to be very wealthy to survive like this either. Because a lot of these men live so far below their means that they will never be broke. Any disposable income that they have, they put either in stocks or in crypto, or they may invest it in real estate, but they're not going to spend that money later on. Like, this is the crazy part. Like, these guys that are making all of these investments and making all of this disposable income, they're not taking this money and then saying, okay, now I'm going to go and buy a nice fancy boat or buy a better place to live. I know so many of these guys that have over $1 million, and they're literally living in small apartments or mobile homes, driving old luxury cars from the 90s and 80s and 60s and 70s. And they fight. It's like a competition for these guys. It's like, who can spend the less? Who can spend the least? It's not that they're living like bums. They live well. Some of them. There are some that are kind of bad. I'm not gonna lie. There are some that are kind of bad. Like, they don't want anything. Like, when anything, I mean, they want to live bare. They want to live very, very simple. And I've talked about that, living simple lives of luxury, where they want to live very simple lives. It doesn't matter how much money they have. They could be billionaires. They would be doing the same. That's what it looks real bad. They'd be doing the same exact thing. In fact, if they could do worse, they would do worse. You think I'm joking? Look at how Elon Musk lives. He got rid of all of the fancy cars. He got rid of the mansions. He got rid of all of it. He lives in a tiny house right now with very meager possessions. The only thing that keeps him going is purpose. That's it. Purpose. Elon, yes, him having a lot of money means he doesn't have to stress about how am I going to survive, but he has an entire other set of problems. Running Tesla, constantly creating products and so forth, but that gives him purpose and meaning in his life. But in terms of how he lives, he's not living drastically different than the average person that doesn't have a lot of debt. He lives in a tiny house. He has very meager possessions. And that's really it. Unless he's, enjoying a nice ride on a private jet, to go to a meeting, because he doesn't have a private jet. However, he's very important, so he has to travel a lot, right? But outside of being able to fly in luxury, which is something the average guy can also do, because although a lot of you won't even do it, like you'll go and get coach seats because you're not going to spend that extra $3,000. But outside of something like that, he's not living better than everyone else. It's true. It's really, really true. These people that are demanding $30 an hour, they're only pushing forward. They're just pushing the end even further. They're just making it worse. Long Beach, an example highlighted in the report. Okay, so this was actually a few places. A recent report highlighted the ongoing debate surrounding the minimum wage in California. The state recently introduced a $20 minimum wage. Labor and union groups, while labor and union groups have historically pushed for increased minimum wages, a recent event suggests that $20 per hour may no longer be sufficient for the cost of living in California. Y'all seeing this? An example highlighted in the report was the approval of a measure in Long Beach to raise hotel worker wages to $23 an hour with plans for future increases to $29.50 by 2028. Guys, that's in 4 years. That's in 4 years. Yeah, guys, the minimum wage is going in 4 years. It's going up to $30. Similar discussions are ongoing in Los Angeles to elevate the minimum wage for airport workers to $30 by the same year. Guys, y'all really think if these people are going to get $30 an hour, these people who work at McDonald's are going to be fighting tooth and nail for $30 an hour? Despite the effort to raise wages, concerns have emerged regarding the impact on businesses, particularly small enterprises. Guys, a $15 Big Mac is on its way. $15 Big Mac is on the way. $12 to $13 seems more likely, but a $15 Big Mac is on the way. $15 for a Big Mac. $15. Jesus. Notably, nearly 10,000 fast food jobs were reportedly lost following the implementation of the $20 minimum wage. They don't care. Increased labor costs. The video raised concerns about how businesses might react to increased labor costs by potentially raising prices for consumers, a move that could add strain to the economy alongside the prospect of increased automation. I told you, they're going to replace these people. Given California's existing position as a front runner in automation, businesses under pressure from rising minimum wages may lean towards greater investment in technology to substitute human workers. Once those jobs are gone, they will never, ever come back. Okay? The report highlighted the escalating nature of the issue, with various groups advocating for even higher wages. Janitors in California are now pushing for $25 per hour, while some labor proponents are pushing for a universal $20 minimum wage. The implementation of a $20 minimum wage for most fast food workers in California has disrupted this traditional business model. Franchise owners can no longer sustain their operations with minimum wages as the burden of increased labor costs looms large. Inflation. Furthermore, the challenge of inflation is driving up the prices of essential ingredients such as beef, poultry, and vegetables. Fast food giants heavily reliant on these key ingredients are faced with a dilemma: absorb the rising cost and risk financial instability, or pass on the expenses to consumers, potentially alienating their price-conscious customer base. Guys, all of y'all are gonna be out here wanting my course. I'm telling you how to live off the state. All right, how to live off the state and private institutions and save money, because this is where we're going right now. This is where we're heading. You're gonna have to learn how to spend do what the boomers. You're gonna have to learn how to do how the boomers operate. Don't spend your money, spend someone else's. I'm telling y'all right now, this is a nightmare. Nightmare. There are only two options right now for most people. And one is to leave the West. Leave the West. Or live in a shoebox at the side of the road. Guys, don't forget that I have another channel called Angry where I discuss gaming, anime, geek stuff, nerd stuff, real world stuff, or whatever else interests me. There's a link to inscription video. Go check it out. Subscribe to my channel. Support my work. And if you're enjoying the content on this channel and you want even more of it, you can head over to the Men Walking Away channel. I release daily videos on the Men Walking Away channel. And you can find a link to the channel inscription in the video. Go check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Support my work. Guys, what do you think regarding all of this? What do you think? California workers now want a $30 minimum wage. What do you think? I think they're going to get it. All right. As you can see, like for hotel workers in California, a lot of them will already be getting an increase to almost $30 an hour in 2028, by 2028. So it's on the way right now, especially with this crazy inflation. $30 an hour, and the more they increase the minimum wage, the higher inflation keeps going and the less the money is worth. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and Walking Away. And cheers.